So I'm going to move into some recruitment and pledge education stuff. A lot of these pieces are going to just be updated, how we're evaluating being updated. I don't think that there's really anything new in this section for our students. It's just how is it calculated and what are we trying to, you know, get from them, help them understand. And so this first one is going to be a social media website verification. Now, this under the old CMP was, I believe, chapter of excellence. Jasmine was trying to go through her mental Rolodex as well. I believe it was chapter of excellence. Irrelevant now. Because essentially what this is really trying to get at and why it's under recruitment and pledge education is that chapters are maintaining their digital footprint. We do know that our students are digital creatures, especially those that are seeking information. They are going to websites and Instagram and Facebook more than they are probably headed to flyers. And so what we are pretty confident in is that if potential recruits are going to digital media to find information about the chapter and it is incorrect or not available, it's turning them off. Especially if it's incorrect. If they've got old recruitment information and the potential member is not looking at a date and it is fall of 2023 information and they've showed up to an event that happened in the fall of 2023 and not the fall of 2026, they're probably going to get discouraged. And so the so we're really looking for the students to make sure that that is updated each term. So that's where the updated verified within the last 6 months comes into play. And so similar to what we had previously for them as far as the website update form, that is going to be available now for them always, as opposed to a certain period of time, so that as they are updating, they can make a record of that. Should they note every time that they've updated something? Yes. Is that realistic? Probably not if they're updating their Instagram every day. And so that's why we've also kind of built in some flexibility here, as that they've done it at least every month. If we look at that next level up, we're looking at least, or not every month, pardon me, every term. And if you look at that next level up, it's that they are updating it every 3 months or so. Please know that students do, especially incoming students, do pay attention to chapter social media during the summer, and so they should have some type of social media plan during the summer as well. Having been on campus and asking students, how are you finding out information at activities fair during orientation, they are still looking at social media. So encourage the chapters not only to have a social media plan for the fall and spring, but also the summer, because they are recruiting passively through the summer if they're not doing anything actively through their social media. Got a question here from Tim. Will contact module be coming soon so chapters and volunteers can pull contact info for officers at other chapters? Grab that at the end for you, Tim. And I see, Sarah, you've got a follow-up question to that. We'll hit those at the end. All right. So then recruitment, again, continuing with recruitment and pledge education, the recruitment to pledging, again, updated evaluation. So it is not new stuff. It is how is it being looked at? And so now we've got a couple of items here in CMP that are two-parters. And so for this one in particular, we want to make sure that pledges are completing their profile before the pledging ceremony, which is not new as part of CMP, and that they are reporting the pledging ceremony within 2 days. Again, also not new under CMP. This is actually very similar to what old CMP did look at in terms of how it was calculated, and now it just is we believe it's a little bit clearer. And so what that strong health looks like is that all recruits have completed their profile, so that on the roster they are recruit in good standing before the pledging ceremony, and that ceremony is reported within 2 days of those dates. And so where we pointed out some of the dates on the dashboard, that's where we want to make sure that those are correct. because the system is looking at those particular dates when it comes to the reporting pieces. And so from the submission standpoint, again, they're entering the individual's preferred emails. That will save everybody some headache later. As you're working with your teams and students, please, 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 when they're reporting new recruits, that they're putting in preferred emails. Don't assume that their campus email is their preferred email, because they may miss that verification. Okay. So again, another piece that is up and running, want to provide you with the resources for your teams and your students and what they're looking for in the new hub. And so reporting recruits, they're again going to go into that member section. They are going to find the chapter member roster to update or recruit. They're going to report new recruits as they had in previous versions of the hub. It is now just a lot bigger, and that toolbar for them to find. They're going to put in the effective date, which should be that primarily those dates that they are actually doing it. And then they're going to click on that add new recruit button. Do know that while it doesn't look like it's a drop down, there is a drop down if they're looking to add not just collegiate recruits, but also faculty and honorary. It does default to collegiate because that is the most likely reason that they are there, but they can, through the same process, go through and add faculty or honorary initiates, recruits to their profile. And then they will, they will then enter that information. Again, this is where that preferred email address is going to be critical, so that they ensure that the students are getting the verification. And then they will click that save button. Now, keep in mind, they have not submitted any names to this point. They will continue going through those steps until they've added everybody that they want to add. And then once they've completed and added everybody that they want to add as a recruit, then they go ahead and click the submit these recruits button. That then submits it. It's not simply clicking save when they've entered one profile or one piece of one detail. Okay, so want to make that very, very clear that they have to take this extra step to submit them. Immediately following that, the potential pledges are going to should get this form. Again, can't harp on the preferred email address enough. If when I did it, it was there within a minute. So if it's not popping up, and it's either that they've submitted the wrong email address, or they need to double check the letters and numbers combinations for those email addresses. So want to make sure that that they are doing that and following up with the pledges, or excuse me, the potential pledges. Then they get the report. And so the pledge would get this and fill that out. And as they're filling out that information, there's a couple of different screens, including our member agreement, that they will need to digitally sign and then click OK. And then once they have signed and clicked OK, they will see the individual as a validation require. Sorry, I need to update that the verbiage. So it does say that they are validation required, or that they would be in good standing as a recruit. So when they see that in good standing, they know that the recruit has completed the pledge profile. I have a question in here. Is there some kind of user experience that they have not actually submitted pledges when they click save? Mike, I don't know that I understand your question. If you could elaborate for me.
Yeah, you said that they enter the pledge information. This is on the previous slide. You enter the pledge information, for 5 pledges. If I'm clicking save at the end of each of them, I'm thinking that it's been submitted. But then you said there's the next step that they have to do. They have to then click on the submit these, I'm trying to read it, submit these recruits button.
Mhm.
Um, I'm asking, is there some way other than there's the submit these recruits button that says this information has not been saved yet. You need to click this button before you leave.
Great question. Thank you for that clarification. So they will, I think the short answer is I do not believe so, but we can look into that. What the students will continue to experience is they'll come back to this list every time that they've added a new record until they have clicked submit. But we can talk to our team about having some type of notification of, this has not been submitted,
Yeah.
or something of that nature. So yeah, that's a great suggestion, and we'll go back to the team and see if we can have that. But as far as I know now, that is not something that is there. It is simply coming back to this list of people that they have put together but have not yet submitted.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I think I had a follow-up question. Should chapters submit any interested students as recruits, or should they wait until after voting on their PNMs? Michaela, great question. We get this question all the time. Our suggestion is always to add them, any students as recruit. It does not hurt them. It does not help them in any way. I'm sorry, it does help them in a way. The way that it helps them is that the recruits then have more time to complete that validation form. If they're waiting until they do their voting and then they're planning on their pledging ceremony the next day, may run into the issue of pledges not having completed it before the pledging ceremony. And so there is truly a benefit to anybody who's expressing some type of interest that they submit them as soon as they express that interest. The individual can then choose not to join. They can choose not to fill the form out, can hold on to it and think about it for a little bit. But by not giving them that extra time, they do sometimes run a risk of not completing them prior to the pledging ceremony, which will impact their health evaluation. Great question. Um, and Tim's got a couple of suggestions in there for you as well. All right. Great questions. Thank you for those. Let's jump into um, pledging an initiation. So again, not new stuff, just updated evaluation, updated calculations. So again, we talked a little bit about this for those of you that have participated in a Hub Health session. A couple of the pieces on the dashboard that are going to be important for you all for this one are going to be those dates again, and taking a look at those dates and making sure that those are correct. And if the students are struggling with either the academic term dates or their initiation pledging ceremony dates, they should absolutely be contacting the chapter services team at hub@dsp.org or any one of us individually. We are absolutely happy to help them and get the dates into a way that is within policy, and we can get them a trunk because that's always a hang up. So we want to make sure, and the other one for everyone to be paying attention to is that badge inventory count on the dashboard. We have said this during the Hub Health sessions. We will say it to you again. We will say it during DD training as well, that the number that the students see on that dashboard is what we know them to have as inventory, that pledges have paid for those pins or those badges, or the chapter has doled out extra money to have them in their inventory and essentially get repaid by the pledges. Okay. Those pledge dollars, as you know, are money in, money out. The initiation fees and the badge lease fees are just, they come into the chapter, they come out, they go out to the central office. If your chapters have badges physically in their possession that are not accounted for in that badge lease, chances are that they have been turned in by individuals that were expelled or people that were just walking away from the chapter. Those are still property of the fraternity, not property of the chapter. And so if there are chapters that believe that they have some type of discrepancy in their badge inventory counts versus their physical, what they have in their possession, please reach out to our team so that we can help them reconcile that. In some cases, it is that they do have them in the possession, and for whatever reason, they're not accounted for. But more often than not, it's somebody has just turned over badges or they have found extra badges somewhere that we can help them reconcile. So absolutely get in contact with our team to get that reconciled. The other piece is initiation ceremony being reported within 14 days. That is policy that has not changed. And so we do expect that they're going to do that. And so what we're looking for here from Strong Health perspective is that their badge count is equaling the number of pledges. Which will ultimately be, they could absolutely lose somebody in the last couple of days. That is fine. That it is going to look at the initiation date and how many you initiated, or excuse me, the chapter initiated. So if they do lose somebody at the end, that is not going to hurt them. It's just we want to make sure that they have had at least enough badges in their possession or in their inventory to hand out an initiation. And so we're looking at that at least a day before, and that they have reported within that 14 days. And this was new at one of the last Hub Help sessions that we did. So I'm going to throw it in here for you as well, in ordering pledge pins and badges. And so here, the way that can be done is by clicking on that badge inventory button. That will take the students to this screen where they can order and put in those little boxes the number that they are ordering. That is the number that they are ordering, not the number that they have in their inventory. So if I'm ordering 4 pledge pins, I'm going to make that 4, and so on and so forth. It will give them that total. And then there's a couple of different ways that the chapter can pay for it. They can pay right then and there, and enter credit card information. If they toggle that little button up at the top, which I think is still a toggle, I have not looked, they can have the chapter billed and invoiced and paid that way. So they can do that. And then the last piece to this is entering the shipping address and method. Please make sure that they are entering a place where they can have access to them and that they're going to be safe when they're delivered. So if a chapter is having them delivered to, say, their advisor's office, and they show up on Friday and initiation is on Sunday, chances are they're not going to be accessible if they haven't picked them up from the advisor early enough. So that they should take that in consideration on where they're having them delivered. And then they're going to go ahead and click that place the order button. It will look a little bit different depending on whether they're having the chapter invoiced or if they're doing it via credit card. Couple of pieces that do want to keep them in mind, and this says it right on the order pages, is that orders must be placed before noon Eastern time to ensure same day shipment for rush orders, because we get mail picked up right just after noon. And so please make sure that they are ordering them before noon if they are rush orders. Anything that is major rush, so they're really looking for it the next day, they should probably call our office to make sure that we have seen it, just to make sure on some of those. Keep in mind though, for if they need them tomorrow or overnight, again, place it before noon and call our office. Consider the day of the week when they are ordering, because our staff, we love you. We love our students. Our staff that does a lot of these order filling do not work on the weekends. And so if they're placing an order on Saturday for at 8 a.m. for an overnight for Sunday, that will not get filled. And so they will need to pay attention to that. And then just again, from my campus days, if they're ordering it and having it delivered to a campus address, they should probably add an extra 2 days to get it because of processing through mail rooms and things like that. So better to be safe than sorry. Again, if it's going through campus mail, that they at least 2 days extra it's going to take to get to them, even with an overnight. Even if they try to order it overnight, and it's going to a mail room, it's still going to take probably another 2 days to process. I have another question in here. I believe chapters used to be penalized if they ordered less than the number of pledges. even if they had a few badges in their inventory shown on their hub. Has that been changed? I'm going to default to my CMP expert, Jasmine, on old CMP. I don't believe that that is going to be an issue. That shouldn't be an issue here, but I'm not quite sure what, Michaela, you might be asking, and Jasmine, you might have an answer. So, Michaela, if you have some clarification, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I know in the past, like when it used to be that if you didn't order exactly the number of pledges that you had, like if you didn't order enough badges, it wouldn't count towards making the order for CMP, even if you had extras in inventory and wanted to use those. So I don't know if that was just like a misunderstanding on our part as a chapter or if they've changed that since then.
Go ahead, Jasmine.
Yeah. Um, the process has not changed. So the example that Tyler showed that there's four in the chapter's inventory, those are the chapters, that is the chapter's inventory. So if they have a total of eight pledges and they ordered four more, that would increase to eight. So I think there might have been a little bit of a misunderstanding because we take the information in the system. So everything in the system is what the system calculates. When you order badges, automatically increases. When you report an initiation report, automatically decreases. So it has not changed.
Thanks for the question, Michaela. Appreciate that. All right. So continuing on to recruitment and pledge education. So pledge retention is a new evaluation for us. Since we have updated our pledging and initiations policy and our curriculum back in the fall of 2022, or excuse me, fall of 2020, the fraternity has seen a continued steady percentage of retention of about 93%, which is fantastic. Prior to that, we were in the 80s, in between the high 70s, low 80s, in terms of retention from the pledging ceremony to the initiation ceremony. And so we are looking for our chapters to continue to maintain that. The goal here, again, retaining those pledges and compliance with the pledging and initiation policy and the pledge education curriculum. In many cases, a low retention rate is going to tell us that, hey, there's probably something happening here that shouldn't be happening, and that we need to probably look into a little bit deeper. And so if we start to see a number of individuals for a chapter that are pledged, and then a good bulk of them are leaving before they get initiated, there's something going on there that we probably want to look into. And so that's why this is an important indicator for us and for our chapters. The strong health indicator here is 80%. We do have that in our policies and procedures that we are looking for our chapters to retain 80% of their pledges from pledging ceremony to initiation. And so that's where that number is coming from. And how this is calculated is simply the reporting of both the pledging ceremony and the initiation ceremony, and the CMP is going to take a look at that percentage. And so if we start to see that number trickle down, then there might be something happening there. Now, we do recognize that there are some chapters that might have recruited or pledged 3 individuals. They're a smaller campus or whatnot. And so losing one is dropping them down to 67%. We do recognize that, but if we're also, even in a small chapter, if we're losing one individual, there's probably something that we or our students haven't done during recruitment to help them understand what their commitment is, that we can help them improve on so that they are retaining that 100%. And so we're thinking about that pledge retention in that way. Oh, did I get 2 of these in here? Sorry about that.